Welcome to the Ambient iPad. In this video, I'm going to use a delay app on the iPad to create a soundscape using sound-on-sound techniques. It's just the iPad Pro 12.9 inch for this video. Let me create an instance in AUM. This will be pretty straightforward. For the sound source, I want to use Mellowsound from FingerLab, which is a Mellotron app. I've demonstrated this app a number of times before. I've compared it to the only other AUV3 Mellotron app, Sampletron 2, and I've also compared both of those to the modern Mellotron. Link up there if you'd like to view that video. So for Mellowsound, let's get the keyboard going. Let's connect the keyboard to Mellowsound. All right. I'm going to start out with the string sounds, viola. No effects right now. What I want to do, though, is adjust the envelope, which you can do on Mellowsound. It's a little flaky here. You got to really... There we go. Okay, I like a nice long tack. Maybe even longer. Bit of a release here. All right. We're going to be using an effect that's really going to elongate that release as well, and that effect, just one, is Imaginando's K7D, which is a really good tape delay. Right out of the box, it's got a lot of wild, wacky sounds, but you can create any number of patches, and I've created some basic ones. Here's a, call it a bass delay, but I use that for a lot of different things. So let's hear what this sounds like. Let me open both these up here. So you can hear that decay and release. All right, we've got both of those. To be honest, that's all I need. We do need the delay in order to create the loop soundscape. For this, I'm going to use Virsyn's Tap Delay, another app I've shown and demonstrated before. Really good for this kind of thing. Let me get this set up. I actually have a patch, cleanish. This will work. Very minimal on the settings here for tape delay because I do want it to be fairly clean. However, a couple of the dry wet mix I have to set so you can hear both the clean sound and the loop, because we're not using the delay as an effect, we're using it just as a loop. This rotation setting here I really like, down on the bottom right hand corner. What that does is it places each of the repeats in a different part of the stereo field. One thing I want to do, though, is I want to use a fairly... anything above a second people call long delay. I consider a long delay like above 5 seconds, but let's try something in the 5 second. I can't get this to 5 seconds. I can get it to either 4.99 or 5.01. So let's see what we hit first. We hit the 4.99, so we'll stick with that. And for feedback, I'm going to be in the low 90s because I do want it to decay, but decay very slowly as I add a bunch of different layers. And let me see. The other things, do I want to do any other effects here? I don't think so. I don't really need anything, so it's just the Mellowsound app into the K7D and then into Tap Delay. So why don't we demonstrate a little bit of this? Just move this stuff over here and set it up. And let's resize some of this. All right, let me get K7D open as well. Let's put this down there. This up here. And let's just keep this. Let's make this a little smaller. Move this over. Put Mellowsound over that. All right. So just a quick few notes to demonstrate what this is going to sound like, and then I'll do a jam. I'm going to be doing this in D major. And very few notes. It's more going to be about the sounds. I'm going to move from string sounds, then we'll do some woodwinds, and then we'll move to the choirs, and probably end up on some strings. Maybe we'll throw some other stuff in there. Oh, the harp. I do want to use the harp as well. Change some sounds here. So just a nice swell. Good thing with Sound on Sound is that right now this is at 92%. It's really decaying slowly, but every app is different. You can do this on pedals as well, hardware, external hardware. But I can't say to set it to 92 on different apps, because some apps at 100, it starts decaying because it goes up to 110%. Now this app actually does go up to 110%, but that will just start creating oscillation. Let me just lower this a bit so in each pass it'll just go down. And then you can really manipulate any of the other settings here on the bottom as well. All right, let's turn that completely off. So real straightforward setup, very simple. It's really more about the sounds. Let me put that on viola. Again, the envelope is very important here, and using K7D for that really long release. Without that, and actually let me demonstrate that. Without the K7D, this is kind of what you get. Let's just go back up here, just do a few notes here. Whoops, no notes there. So you can tell, just again, huge difference, just one app. Let's turn that back on. All right, that's off. Let me raise that feedback again. Let's go to 90, because 92 wasn't really, well, it was decaying, but it was very slow. Let's get rolling here. Let me have that fade in the background. So as you can see, very, very simple setup. Mellowsound as the sound source. Just going through a bunch of the different categories, strings and woodwinds, the choirs. Threw in a little vibraphone in there, the harp at the end. And you can hear everything kind of slowly decaying. I've got the feedback set to 90%. Some apps, 90% would be decaying a lot faster, and others it would be slower. You just have to experiment with a different app, or if you're using a pedal, to determine what that setting is. Because with a lot of these apps, if you have a high feedback, you're going to go into oscillations. It will self-oscillate, and it'll just keep feeding back on itself. And you can do some cool stuff with that too. But for something like this where, you know, even the tape delay sounds, a lot of times as this was fading, I might, you know, raise the damping so to accentuate the low end a little, get some wow and flutter, change the bias, tape hiss. You're not really going to hear any of that because we're really fading out. But there are ways that you can manipulate the loop as it's going. But this is a lot more organic. When I'm using something like Gauss, you have some features in there too, but it really is more of a looper. This is, even though it's trying to emulate from the 70s or the 80s the ability to do tape loops. I like using longer delays. Yeah, you can't save anything, things disappear, but it's a very, very organic way to build up that soundscape. 5 seconds is a little short from my perspective. It's very much in Frippertronics category territory, which is between 5 and 6%. So I do like using it now and then, but I'm more in the 6 to 10 second. I know I just said percent, I'm in seconds. So 5 to 6 seconds would be Frippertronics, and that's kind of the timing that I used in here. So it's a lot shorter, but relied on a D major, really triad, 3 notes. And there were never kind of more of 3-note sequences going on at once. Additional notes were just creating almost chordal patterns in the background. I usually like to use between 6 and 10 seconds, but really, and once you start getting below 4 seconds, it's really difficult to do stuff. But it's definitely worth experimenting. Again, they're just the sound source, K7D, and then tap delay for the looping sound on sound itself. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and good luck with your own music.